Welcome back everybody. This is a follow-on from hopefully the last video that you were watching where we were talking about, are cheap brushes any good? Can you manage with them? What they're like as a pro using them for coating stuff up. Now the last video you saw I used Dulux. I've got it down there, quick dry undercoat, and I said the follow-on video from that we're going to be using the quick dry Satinwood, which I did a review of last year. And I'm coming back to it to see, give it a second chance, bit of a recap on it, see what I think, going over its undercoat and using a cheap brush. Now, let's make it clear, you don't always need to use the undercoat with some of these paints. Always read the back of the tin. Now, you could possibly get away with giving a nice rub down, dust off, clean down, make sure your surface is dry, and 2 coats of this. For me, moving forward from using oil-based paints, if it's an oil-based paint that's been on, an oil eggshell or an oil gloss, I always like to give them a good clean down, give them the correct undercoat for the top coat that goes on, and then 2 top coats of this. So 1 undercoat, 2 top coats, then that's us moving forward with the water-based paint system. A lot of people have problems trying to do, I'll go the traditional way of using an oil eggshell. It's self-undercoating, so you just give it 2 coats of eggshell. That doesn't work when you're using water-based paints. Not all the time, not all the time. Always read the back of the can, the data sheets, just make sure you're using the correct undercoats if it requires one. Right, that was done. It's now dry. It's had plenty of time to dry, but these are really dry in, I think, the 4 to 6 hours. 4 to 5 hours recoat time for that, for the undercoat. So we're coming back well after that. And we're going to go over with the satin. Now I've got the paint out. I've got the brush going again. I said the brush was all right. It is what it is. I was bedding the brush in, worked from one side of the kettle. And we're going to see whether we can get, we should get a nice finish applied by the brush, but what does it feel like? Don't forget I told you the length out is quite short, so you do feel like you can apply the paint with a brush that's got a shorter length and work it more, if that makes sense. You don't feel like you've got a floppy brush. We spoke about floppy brushes, didn't we? Again, I'm starting to talk to you. How white is this paint? Looks very nice and white. Happy with that. I'm going round. I'm not sure whether this is a hybrid. Sniff the bristle. Gotta sniff the bristle. I'm not sure whether this is a hybrid or not. I'm a bit, yeah, I'm very unsure. Some of the other paints that I use, I know the hybrids, and also I know that they're actually an acrylic, proper acrylic based paint. Just getting it on, that's actually pulling a little bit. Got a fly. Blinking flies. I'm not one for using Dulux paints other than I'm looking down on my workstation just to the side. The one that I do like is the Dulux Heritage Eggshell. That has a lovely feel to it. Again, that's one of those paints, please look in the corner, there'll be a link to it. That's one of those paints that if you've got a good clean sound surface to work on, you can actually just do 2 coats of that eggshell and you're good to go. If you've got a colour change or you've got priming to do, you can use the Dulux Heritage undercoat. Always use the correct undercoat for the top coats that you're using. Don't mix and match. When it comes to primers, that's a different thing altogether. Your primer can be used for a certain surface substrate, and you can do that. It could be an oil, aluminium leafing primer because you're going over hardwoods or resinous woods. Once that's all dry, you could start bringing in the different brand of undercoat, because it's your undercoat that gives you the sound surface for your top coats. And if it's hand in glove, your top coat brand matches your undercoat brand. It doesn't matter whether your primer brand is different to your undercoat. Oh, I hope that makes sense. When I watch this back, I'll probably go, Phil, what are you talking about? Right, I'm just going to bring these in. It feels all right, this paint. I have to say, it's not too bad. It does pull slightly, i.e. feels thick. Another term we can use is it's a bit round. When we say it's a bit round, we mean it's a little bit thick. It could just do with a little bit of something in it to make it flow better. i.e. just a splash of water. I don't want to put a splash of water into it. I don't want to lose that, itchy ear, I don't want to lose that opacity that you're getting with this paint. Now, some people will say, oh, warm it up, Phil. It's a warm day in the UK today, I don't need to warm it anymore. I just think it's just how this paint applies. Just getting it on nicely. Now, going back to the undercoat, just knocking them fatty edges off. Going back to the undercoat did wash out all right. The brush was, well, it wasn't crippled, it was all nice once I'd washed it out with some warm soapy water. That's what makes me wonder whether it is a hybrid undercoat or not. Not too sure. If you do know, please give us some feedback below. There's that blessed fly again. Now, putting it on crow's nest in it and actually working it. With Doris the door being a textured egg box door, you know, it's one of these ones you probably find in a new build house. It's got that wood grain texture across it. You don't always see brush marks with it. What I'm going to do, I'm going to do this top section and do the bottom section off camera so I can still talk to you. It's not the way to do it. Please look in the corner for correct procedure for painting the door. And what I will do, I will get this coated up and I'll come back to it later today to give it its second coat so I can actually see what it's like. Now I'm going over, I'm hoping these will start covering. I'm going over that black marker pen that has been shellac sprayed over to stop the stain coming through. You only need a light waft with those, oh, I can't even say it, with those shellac sprays. You don't need to try and obliterate the surface. The shellac will do its job to hold off that staining that the indelible marker pen will do to your paint surface. So I'm hoping that will hold it off. It's going on all right. We're starting to get the coverage stroke opacity working over those darker marks on the side of the door. That's from when I've done a previous video and my sheet bagging at the back's just touched the back of the face of the door. There's a bit of an oxymoron, the back of the face of the door. Back to back they faced each other, drew their swords and shot each other. Yeah, that's in the middle of the night. Two dead men got up to fight. Yeah, you know which one I'm on about. Right, I'm going to go off. I'm going to cut the video now, do the bottom, and I'll come back to you once this is dry and we'll give it a second coat and talk about it. So catch you later. Right, you've seen that little bit of a clip where I was painting the second coat. I didn't want to subject you to actual painting the whole door again, but this is what we've used. We've used Satinwood with a cheap brush. £4, £4.99 for 3 brushes. Can I paint with it? Of course I can. Can you paint with it with decent paint? Of course you can. Decent paint with a better brush? be a lot easier, I think. Now you can see how it's starting to sprag out. Now this has had an undercoat through it. It's had a first top coat and a second top coat. It's just starting to lose its shape, those bristles. Now still a bit damp because I washed out not long ago. Now if I separate these bristles, you can see how the stock is right down at the bottom. It's like a reservoir. And there's three layers of bristles. One, can you just see it? Look, one in the middle, three, with a little pocket in between. Now, that's what holds your paint. Could I get the paint on there? Yeah. What did I think of the paint with that? Getting 2 coats of that paint on it a day, I was pushing it a bit. And I would probably say a lot better the next day. And also, I'd probably say a splash of water might help. I can see it starting to creep with a little bit of runs. We don't want to discuss that paint because I hate the word go-to. It won't be my go-to paint. There's a lot better paints that I've got on my workbench down here that probably cost a bit more that I prefer to apply. You've got your PU Satin. You've got your Ticarilla. You've even got, oh, I'm looking down there, Scuffex. But yes, I could apply it with a cheap brush, but a better quality brush, I would probably feel a lot happier doing finished paints like that. Not saying that this brush isn't good for like your quick jobs thrown away. If you've got some, I don't know, blackening round bottom of, I don't know, plinths or units that you just want a brush that you can use and throw away. What I did like about this brush is that handle. That handle is really nice with that textured detail. It was nice to hold that way. It was nice to hold that way where you've got the indentation. Can you see it? Bit of an indentation there. Put your thumb against it, put your finger against it. It actually felt nice to hold, particularly when I was scrubbing that paint. Felt like I was scrubbing that paint out. So scrubbing it all out, it's actually a nice, that's probably one of the nicest handles on a cheapish brush I've used in a long while. Now, just looking at them pins in there. Are they going to work out? I'm not sure. But to sum up, the paint's all right. It's not my favourite. The brush is all right. It won't be my go-to brush, but it does work, and there's always a brush for a certain situation, as we've found out with some of the other brushes that we've done in the product testing in that corner. And thanks for listening to me. I know this is just a quick, easy video for what's a cheap brush like with some better quality paint, and it is a bit of a two-parter. We've done the undercoat and we've done the 2 top coats, but there's some videos there that you might be interested in watching that might be a bit more interesting than this one. It's like watching paint dry. But all in all, that's got me the coats of paint on I need for going forward to do something else on a future video. Video's there.